Okay.
J. Metal Craig of Craig's Maelstrom here, and I have one of the members of Folterkammer with me today. Hey, how's it going? Would you like to introduce yourself and what position you do in the band? Hopefully, I got the band name right.
Yeah, it's Folterkammer. My name is Andromeda. I'm the singer and lyricist of the band Folterkammer, which is an operatic black metal band with German lyrics. Since I'm German speaking normally, I'm from Switzerland and from the German speaking part of Switzerland. And so, yeah, that's me. Hi, everybody.
Please go back in the history of Folterkammer and how the band all got started.
Okay. So it started with me kind of, getting to know Kenny Grahowski and Zachary Azrin of Imperial Triumphant. And when I went to New York, I met them both. And I was talking to Zach about music we liked, and he told me that he loves German opera and that he loves German singers such as Klaus Nomi and Nina Hagen and so forth and so forth. And I was actually surprised he knew all of them. And so we were walking in the streets of Manhattan, and he showed me around, showing me places, and we were singing in the streets. And we said, we also share the same love for black metal or metal in general, and jazz music, all kinds of music. And then he was like, man, you are classically trained? And I was like, yeah, that's how I started off, being classically trained. But I switched into jazz music and then into metal. And he was like, oh man, do you still sing operatic? I said, yeah. And he said, and you do the growls? And I said, yeah. And he said, can you do the both for Imperial as a guest vocalist for Vile Luxury? And I was like, yeah, let me try that. I would love to. And so he called me and said, hey, now it's time for the studio. And I tracked this, and it was so much fun. And we both were like, man, that's so interesting. Let's dedicate a full project to merging these styles. And so that's when Folterkammer started to grow. And he told me about his friend from college, Darren, who is writing black metal tunes which are Baroque inspired, and then about his friend Brandon McGowan, who's a drummer, like a beast on a drums. And he said, well, would you like to try out some things that Darren and I composed? Can you write melodies and can you write lyrics in German? And I was like, yeah, let's try. And so we did this experiment, which is Die Lederpredigt, the first album we did. And and then we were like seeing what will happen with this one. We didn't know ourselves. A lot of things were like improvised, and we were just trying things out, but we liked it so much that we were like, we have to continue. We cannot leave it like this. And then we were uh, taking Laurent who is from France, a jazz bass player who also loves metal a lot, and we asked him to join Folterkammer to work on this album Weibermacht that we are now about to release on April 19th. And so then we continued to pick out the elements that we liked on the letter predict the most, and then continued to make it more elaborate, more refined. The composition was more focused on being shaped, and even more trying to connect the dot that is black metal with dots of other styles in music, and to see if we can find something that fits to what we want to do with Folterkammer. And so that's the story of the band. So yeah, we're from Europe. Half of the band is from Europe, and the other half is from the United States.
How did you guys come up with the band name Folterkammer?
That's on me. No, we wanted to have a band name that is easy to pronounce, even if you are not German speaking. And I know that many people they talk to us about torture instruments and torture chamber and inquisition and these things, which is one aspect of the name for sure. It means torture chamber, but to me it has always been like this image of what is the biggest or the craziest torture chamber I know. So, and that's the human brain. I mean, from there we have the result that there are torture chamber existing and weapons and torture instruments and stuff. So that's what I wanted to use as some kind of the source of inspiration for writing lyrics or choosing topics to sing about. And yeah, that's it. So that's what we associate with it, in fact.
Who's all in the current Folterkammer band lineup, and what instruments do they play?
Okay. So there's Zachary Ezrin, who is the producer of Folterkammer. He knows everybody somehow, and he connected us all. He's playing guitars, he's composing, and yeah, he's like the producer, I would say. And then you have Darren Hansen, who is the other guitar player. He used to play baritone guitar on the first album, but now he just plays regular guitar because now we have a bass player. And he's also one of the main, he's like one of the main composers in Folterkammer. Then we have Brandon McGowan, who is the drummer. And we have Laurent David, who is the bass player. And then there's me, and I sing and I write the melodies and I write the lyrics. And when it comes to when it comes to composition, we all contribute. When it comes to artistic choices, we all share. We pick our brains and we share everything, and we negotiate which one is the middle road to take, because we all have very different backgrounds, not just from where we come from, but also how we are because of our biography in music, how we were trained and everything. And yeah, so that's the lineup.
Who designed the Folterkammer band logo?
That's Mr. Comes from Madrid, Spain. He's a calligraphy artist. He does all my tattoos. You see, I have some things here, and he makes them all by hand. He's touring worldwide and makes art exhibition with his calligraphy arts and graffiti. Like he makes calligraphy, but with graffiti. And I loved his work. And when it was about to have the logo for Folterkammer, I suggested him to the others and said, hey, there's this guy and he makes everything by hand. It's really unique. And so that's how it came to happen. He did that, Mr. Comes.
You guys just did an album in 2024 titled Weaver Mocked.
Weibermacht, yeah.
Weibermacht. Sorry about that.
Good.
What
No,
is
you do it well.
the album title?
What it means?
What is the purpose behind this album title?
Weibermacht, I would translate it word by word as bitch power. It's a concept. It's a terminology, an official terminology. That word to describe dominant women and submissive men, like in art and in literature, tracing back to a long time. And you can see very intellectual, very handsome, or very strong men being depicted submissive to a beautiful or a cunning or cheeky woman. Not that stereotype of a strong man in charge of everything and a submissive woman. It's switched in position, and that's the motive that runs through the whole album, through all the songs, no matter what we are writing about. And this is like the red line that goes, or how we say in German, the red string that you can follow through all the songs as a motive.
Just so you know, before we get into a bit more about the new album, I jammed your first album that I have in my arsenal, and I wanted to let you know that album's absolutely killer and cool. First album from 2020.
Yes, Die Lederpredigt.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can Folterkammer's album Weaver Mocked, that's coming out on April 19th, 2024, be pre-ordered or purchased?
I think Century Media has a shop itself where they sell things, or there is Evil Greed, or I think Necromance. I hope I pronounce it correctly, or that I remember correctly. Yeah, that's that, or like I think you can even buy the record on Amazon or whatever you prefer, and there are all the streaming services where you can find the things. So I guess, yeah.
Who was the album artist used to design the album art for Weaver Mocked?
Elena Cantor did the painting for the cover, and Brandon McGowan, our drummer, he did all the graphic design.
Cool. What were the musical concepts behind the song Herren der Schwerter?
Herr in der Schwerte is linked to a historical figure, a woman who really existed in France. She was a popular opera singer, but she was also a woman who was, I think, gay and or bisexual. And during that time when she was living, which goes back to the times when France still was ruled by a king, she dressed like a man, and she was fighting with swords, and she fought really well. And she was provocative as a person. Since she was a popular opera singer, she was invited to nice dance events. And when she saw a woman that she liked, she was provocative, and she asked the guy to for a duel. Duel, you say in English? Duel, when they fight with swords. And if she wins, she can dance with the woman. And she did that several times, and I think she even killed some guys. And she was pardoned by the king, I think, twice for that, because normally she would have had been, I don't know what, at least put in prison or even sentenced to death. But she was pardoned because she was so popular as an opera singer. And the story is really crazy. And when I was doing the research for this album, I wanted to know historical and also mythological and folkloristic figures, the songs we sing in Europe or things like this, where dominant or very cunning or very provocative women were depicted, or and when I read this story, I was like, wow, that's an amazing woman to portray on this album. Like, I guess she was pretty crazy too, but to have something like this during that time, that's something I want to write a song about. And this song was actually written by Zachary and by me in Paris.
What are the band's immediate music career goals?
Beg your pardon, I didn't. Yeah.
What are the band's immediate music career goals, as in the current goals for the band?
I think the most the most obvious goals at the moment are to perform this music live, to bring it on stage, and we're about to go to our first US East Coast tour at the end of this month. And so we would also like to tour at the West Coast and in Europe and maybe Latin America if we can organize this. And so that's the next step for us, is to perform. And also, to be creative, to write more music and to see how we can continue as Folterkammer. Yeah.
Does the band have any band gear endorsements?
I think Zach does, and I think Laurent does, but I really don't know that in specific. I don't have this information.
All good. I understand. It happens sometimes. Give me 2 secs. I just need to regroup myself here in the questions. There we go. Found where I need to go. What social media platforms can Folterkammer be found on?
I think the one that is most frequented is Instagram. And we're also on Facebook, and there's X, but it's mostly Instagram and Facebook, I would say. Yeah.
I got 2 more for the interview if we have time to get them both, and then we'll get the station IDs real quick. Who are the band's musical influences?
Well, we have several ones, but I think for Weibermacht, there was a big orientation towards classical music. Like I was listening to a lot of Verdi and Strauss, and I know that Darren and Zach, they are listening to a lot of what's his name again? Like Baroque composers, Bach and so forth. They were listening to this a lot, and I think those were, for this album, like the ones we were listening to the most. And with metal, for me, I would say bands like Dark Throne, and but that's all the things we were listening to when we were younger. That's what we were all. That's what we liked. We wanted to have that 90s kind of black metal vibe mixed with different styles, and most of all with classical music. But I would say for this album, the most inspiration came from classical music, actually. Yeah. And I was listening to a lot of Joan Sutherland, an amazing classical singer. She's dead now, but she was one of the best opera singers that ever performed on stage. Yeah. And Birgit Nielsen, of course. Yeah. So and also, of course, Nina Hagen. That's she's one of our main references too. Yeah.
And that leaves us with the last question of the interview, and then we need the station IDs. What band news do you have on the Folterkammer front, as in anything we haven't covered so far in this interview?
I'm not sure I understood. Well, I'm sorry.
Like stuff you haven't talked about yet in the interview that's new to news for Folterkammer.
Oh, what we haven't talked about yet? What is interesting to know about Folterkammer? Wow. So what I can say is that what is the concept for us, what lyrics wise, what I'm writing about, like, is always the portrayal of very strong female characters. And the first one was on Letterpredict, was a very vicious goddess. And it was against the like it was written against oppressive systems like certain religions or whatever. And but depicted by a female force or goddess that is extremely abusive and vicious, a bit like black metal, typically black metal, like with Satanism, but without Satan or the male references to God or whatever. And the second album, it's with the concept of Weibermacht. It's about dominatrices and all women archetypes we know that represent dominant women. That's what the whole album is about. And I quote a lot from popular culture. Is it opera, or is it movies, or is it from literature, or is it from mythology or history? I was doing a lot of research. I was training with a dominatrix from London, a professional one, just before I even started to write all the lyrics. And I wanted to insert as much of what I've learned and studied into the lyrics, and to play around with it in a playful way. So if you don't understand the lyrics, if you don't understand German, that could be something interesting to know. So we always try to change the topic, but I always want to sing or portray a strong kind of woman, and whatever she is, like the goddess, the dominatrix, or we will see in the future what will happen. But that's something very important to me, because I want to have fun when I'm singing and when I'm on stage. And I think to portray strong women with a strong singing, strong voice, and strong contrasts too in expression. So that's what intrigues me and all of us in the band, and that's what we didn't talk about so far. But yeah, maybe that's interesting for some of the listeners who don't understand the lyrics.
And now that leaves us with the station IDs. The first one is, hey, this is Andromeda, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Okay.
I forgot one thing in there. The band name. Sorry.
Folterkammer or what? Andromeda? Yeah. Okay. Wait, Mangled Music Radio, go?
Yep.
Good. Okay. Hi, this is Andromeda Nachia from Folterkammer, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Cool. That's the first station ID. The second one is for Craig's Metal Storm.
For the first word, I didn't understand.
Craig's Metal Storm.
Freaks Metal Storm.
Craig, my name.
Can you write it in the chat? I'm not sure I understand correctly.
Yeah, sure. Just give me half a sec. I'll quickly type it out. Let me just get the chat up.
Thank you. Do I see it? Um. Craig's. Oh, now I got it. Oh man, I'm sorry for that. It's so obvious that it's
All
this.
good.
I'm sorry. That's when I know I'm not native English speaking. I'm sorry. Okay. What you want me to say for Craig's Metal Storm, right?
This is, hey, this is Andromeda from Folterkammer, and you're listening to Craig's Metal
The whole
Storm.
thing again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this is Andromeda of Folterkammer, and you're listening to Craig's Metal Storm. Whoa!
Cool. Thank you very much for the station IDs. Thank you very much for the interview, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Craig. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so
You
much.
have yourself a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you. What?
Hey.
I didn't. Bye. Tschüss. Thank you.